That's still on the screen. Here I am. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. It's Kate Richbourg from beadshop.com, and today is Friday, January 20th, and I've got hair in my face and so much to share with you today. So let's see who's here. Oh, it's great to see you all from all over. Janice is linking. I believe that our Gita is there doing some linking. I believe that people are jumping in from all over the place. That's great. Let me do this here real quick. There we go. Folks, we have so much to get to today. Let me get to this where I put up our logo. There it is. And I've got stuff to share with you. So let me share that stuff with you first. And then we'll get to the bracelets. Where do I begin? So tomorrow, let's talk about our newsletters tomorrow. Let me go here and say, you're going to find all of this info, great places to follow us all on our social, beadshop.com, on Instagram, on Facebook at the Bead Table, and of course, hit that like, subscribe, and follow button at beadshop.com on the YouTube. And you can find everything that I'm using today under the Tila Stretch Bracelets. I showed you this before. You saw this peek up on here, but you can find the collection over at Tila Stretch Bracelets. We're going to talk about today stringing with 2-hole beads. We're going to string on elastic, and I'm going to share my closing techniques with you. Okay. Great place to find those replays are right on the product page at beadshop.com, as well as our YouTube channel over at Beadshop. You'll never miss anything there. Okay. So, it's great to have you, Deborah. Welcome. It's your first live. Terry, I'm glad you haven't had any issues with the elastic. I'm going to share some of my techniques with you. So, next week, it's the week before I go to Tucson. We've got so much going on. Emily's coming she's coming to Tucson, but she's also going to be on our broadcast next week, part 1 of the looming project with our bead loom. If you haven't grabbed one, I've got mine over here. I need to build it and get ready because I'm going to make a necklace just like Emily. Wait till you see it. She gave us a sneak peek of it a little bit early before this broadcast, and it's gorgeous. Those of you who were at our bead retreat are familiar kind of with the style. It's in the style that Emily was making at the retreat. She's using the Ojibwa bead loom that we've got. We'll also show you some other tips and tricks. Then after we return in Tucson, a couple of weeks afterwards, she's going to do part 2, show you how to finish it off. It's really incredible, and I can't wait to jump in and loom with Emily. So we've got that coming. A week from today, on Friday, I think it's it would be the 27th because it's a week from today. I have a special flash sale Friday for all of you all. Follow your newsletters. I've got some really fantastic, I see it, it's sitting right over there, tribal and trade bead flash sale. Limited quantities, but I think you folks are going to love them. That's happening a week from Friday. A week from today, next Friday. Tomorrow, open your newsletters because you're going to see this photo and this beautiful Tucson cool tones and Tucson warm tones. You're going to learn what those photos are all about. It has to do with me shopping for you in Tucson. It's going to be crazy. Limited amounts. You got to trust me. Details in the newsletter tomorrow. But look at how pretty these are. And they're going to be really pretty when I palette them in beads for you. So that's what's going on. All right, let's get to right down to it, though, shall we? I've got a couple of other things I want to share. Oh, you can see my hand cream here. Let me get a little closer in with that zoom. I wanted to share. Come on, there it is. I wanted to share a couple of things that I am working on before we get. Oh my gosh! I just clicked over to the to the comments. You all are jumping in. Thank you all so much for being here, folks. Thank you. Gosh, the comments kind of bowled me over for a second. I'm going to get to these in just a moment, but let me show you. I wanted to have a check-in with you on your temperature project. I am up to date through yesterday, the 19th. I've got to stitch the 19th today. It actually goes this way. So this is all of January. I've got a lot of gray in there from all the rain that's been happening. We're going to get some low temperatures, so you can see I've got some of that 30 degrees in here. So I'm heading through. I'm going to bring this with me to Tucson. I'm going to stitch it in Tucson. I'm still going to do the temperature, though, that's here in Fresno. And then I'll be able to stitch the end of the month band and start on February. Okay, so mine's coming along. You folks have been putting yours into the album over on the bead table album, and I am blown away by your creativity. They just look fantastic. So I wanted to share that with you. Also, I had mentioned, and someone had asked about it, so I thought I would show you. Do you remember how when we debuted the 15s, and I said that there was a happenstance mix that happened when we got the 15s in? Let me get a little closer. We had some broken tubes in the box, and you can find the temperature project, folks. I did a whole broadcast on it, but you can find all of that right over on Bead Shop. I think Janice tossed the link in there. Let me get back to this here. So this was the happenstance 15 mix that was in the bottom of the box. A couple of the 15 tubes broke. And thankfully, the tubes that broke were kind of beautiful, right? Gita's saying, what a beautiful accident. I know, right? They look amazing. So I have been in, as you know, that round peyote stitch mode with the temperature project. And I decided I wanted to see how 15s, my explorations of 15s are progressing. So I started to do a round peyote stitch with the 15s and this crazy cardboard box mix is what I'm calling it, right? The cardboard box mix. We were talking about this morning, Janice and I, Andrea, we're talking about our 5mm leather that we're carrying, right? The round leather. I did it with the Legend project. You saw me show that this past weekend on the Great Bead Extravaganza. I'm also having a love affair at the moment, don't tell my husband or Alfred or any of my other cats, with this leather. I just love the way this looks. I love it for a wrap bracelet. And so I did this little tester, okay, of this with the 15s. What I've been doing to kind of hold it together, you know how we all have furniture we have to build? I mean, I'm an adult now, but still sometimes you have to put legs on the furniture that you get. So you get those Allen wrenches in the furniture, right? And I thought it was a great thing to kind of hold my, to support my round 15-aught peyote stitch, okay? Then I was thinking, why don't I just peyote stitch around this leather? So now that I've kind of done my box mix and I know that I like it, I'm going to go ahead and start it again because I think it really works nicely with this green. I need to decide if I'm just going to do short sections of beads on here or one long tube. I don't know. Stay tuned. I'm going to do a show on it. So if you're not faint of heart, the 15s in the round peyote stitch is kind of fun. Find an old Allen wrench from your put together furniture and set it aside. We're going to use it in that. Okay, that's all I have to catch you up on. So let's take a look at the project. And we've got that braided leather, folks, in a bunch of different colors, which I love them all. Unfortunately, this one of our colors, and Janice was telling me which one it was. She can tell me. I think it's this one, JP, that's going away. There's a color change. So yeah, this one. This one's going to be going away. So if we have any in stock at this color, grab it now if you love it. The color change is nice, but it's not this color. Okay. So let's talk about the Tila beads. Now we've got these mixes and we just debuted 2 more mixes today, and there's another mix that's coming. They were out of it, but I pulled a few strings and they're coming. So here are the new ones. This is the one that we're out of, the Queen's Court mix. They didn't have any in stock, but I believe, let me just double check. Drea and I were talking about it today, and I'm going to go to new arrivals. It's launched, this one, Queen's Court, but put yourself on the notification list. We wanted to launch it so you could see it, so you know it's coming. It should be in about a week and a half. Okay. I love this pink. I'm having a little bit of a pink moment. I've been having a little bit of a pink moment for a while. Let me dump this out so you can see it. I didn't put it in a little bin, but I'll show you. This is the Queen's Court. Here it is. Look how pretty that all is. We also just launched today Grecian Waters. That's this one. And this one is Island Hopper, which is this one right here. I have some of our other mixes. I used I'll tell you, let me go. I told myself to remember, but I can never remember what I use. It's under Tila Stretch Bracelets. If you're watching this live, it's on the homepage right now. I'm using the Earthly Treasures mix today, but we also have the Pebbles, and this one is called Mixed Nuts right here. These mixes, you know we love mixes here at Bead Shop, you know that. We also have a whole bunch that we've launched. You can make your own mixes. You can also add some of the plain, the unmixed, just the regular tubes. Like this is everyone's favorite. Thank you, Emily, for turning us on to the 190, the nickel colored Tila here. This would go in all of these, right? So you can get this tube mix, dump a little bit of another mix in. This is the one that's been all over the internet, this matte opaque cream. We can't keep it in stock. This is everyone's new favorite. You could add this to any of these. This is Janice's favorite in anything, the turquoise blue Picasso. It's in this one, the which mix is that? That is the I'll tell you in a second what it is, because now I can't remember. It is, I've got to scroll past all of the 15s. Someone will tell me. It's not the pebbles. It is the, it's not Earthly Treasures. It's turquoise, and it's not Turquoise Dreams. It'll come up. I might have it in one of the tubes. I don't know. Anyway, it's this one. It is Earthly Treasures. It is Earthly Treasure. That's this one here. The one I'm going to use today. You could add a little bit of gold, whatever. The point of the story is, let me land this plane, is that anything you choose is going to look amazing. Okay? It's going to look amazing. So I'm going to show you all how I make the stretch bracelets today. And it's pretty easy, a pretty easy concept, but I just wanted to share it with all of you all because there's a couple of ways you can do it. And it never hurts to revisit kind of those basics. I'm looking at, there's a couple of great things from the chat here. Michelle is saying that she's getting a polar vortex from Siberia up in Canada, and it's going to be negative 62. And then she's saying she's regretting the kumi for that project because you are doing kumi for your temp project. I think that's awesome, but negative 62, even in my beloved Saskatoon, where I've loved to visit, it's a little cold. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let me clear these. I want to show you the mix first before we get any further. I want to show you the layout of the tubes, and all of the mixes, folks, are going to be slightly different. Kind of like what we do with our mixes. They put the beads in a big vat. I don't know if that's the right word, but they mix them and then they tube them. So they're not counted out and, all that kind of thing. So you're going to get, your results may differ. All right. Let me come in a little bit tighter so you can see that mix. So this is the Earthly Treasures, and it has the quarters, it has the halves, and it has the fulls. Okay, the 3 different sizes of the Tila beads. So let me show you. I'm going to get some head pins here so you can see this. I really like them all, right? They really are pretty. And I love the different shapes, or the different sizes they come in, that all 3 of the sizes are in here. Okay. So here is what I've started to string up, and we're going to talk about that in a second. I'm going to string on the quarters. So here's our quarters. That's 4 of them there. Okay. Here's the half. I'll do 2 different colors here. And here's the full. Okay, so I'm going to measure these so we're really right on. Again, with my caliper that has a new battery. So this is 4.7 across, hole to hole. The 2, 4.6 hole to hole. I think with the 4, I think I actually have to take one off. Yeah. The 4 stacked up is 5 millimeter. I mean, it's small, but it is a difference. Let me do the 3. 3.6. So you could do like 1, that's 2.2 for the quarter, and 2.2 for the half. So you could stack one of those together, right? That'll make up the full. So it's kind of fun to kind of put these together, especially if you're looming, or like what Janice did with her really cool wrap bracelets that she did with the Tilas a few weeks ago. So you can kind of play around with them, stack them like little Lego bricks or little Tetris bricks, right? But today, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stringing them double. So let me show you that. Let me get this back in its little triangle so they don't go all over. Now, what I have here is I have 2 strands of, it's hard to see because it's clear. This is the 0.5 Stretch Magic. Now, when I string, I like to string on a double strand. Okay? So what I've done is I've used the medium twisted flexible eye needles that we carry. We carry them in different sizes. This is the medium size. Now you could use the 0.7. This one is a little raggedy, this one here. You could use the 0.7, but then you only use a single strand. All right? I prefer a double strand with the 0.5, but you do you. All right? This is where I have my best results. If you just like the single, use the 7. It'll work fine. The thing about elastic, and I need to work and talk at the same time here, so let me work and talk. As my friend Mary says, worky talky, worky talky. The thing is that your elastic isn't forever. Okay, there's some tricks. When you put it on, you don't stretch it, you kind of roll it, all that stuff. There are some tricks that you can do to extend the life of the elastic, right? But it's going to eventually break just because it has a shelf life. But they're fun. So that's why with elastic, I don't usually string anything that is that dear on it, right? If it's some really nice semi-precious or things like that, gosh, I can't see this hole and it's big. I'll string it, I'll string it on some self-flex beading wire. I'll knot it on thread and I'll add a clasp. And I know that some people, especially if you sell items, Emily can back me up on this. People, when they look at your stall and they look and see what you're selling and everything, and people always say, oh, I have such a tough time with clasps. I'd like to just have it on stretch. Can't we just have it on stretch and I can take it on and off? Well, you could, but it's not going to last forever, right? Nothing lasts forever, really. But see how what I do is I thread 2 needles like this, and I find the center of my elastic, and now I've put on my Tila, and I pull these through at the same time, like that. So the eye flexes down, and then what I do is I just hold these 2 needles next to each other, and I string one hole and then I string the other. Okay, I don't know why my fingers are so fumbly today, but they are. Okay, so I will just string those on. Let me work on the other one, so I get a little bit further on that. The deal is, though, when you use this double strand, you want to make sure that you're keeping things kind of loose, because this double strand wants to twist up and stuff a little. So you just want to make sure that you are that you're not twisting the thread and stuff too much. Now, if you only want to string one side, you can, and I'm going to do that with these just to show you. What you need to do is you need to just make sure, like, let me string on a few here, and this big one here. There's no real, I mean, it's not hard to string them, but it's not particularly super fast, right? Because you're stringing one hole like this. And I guess I'll pull them on so they stay. Then you kind of have to line everybody up, find the right needle. I've got too many needles on my surface, so let me move that out of the way. And I'm going to come in, see what I'm doing here. And I need to make sure I grab all, I'm going to put it in my fingers because I can't do it that way. When I run the second needle, that's my problem today. Probably because I didn't have quite enough coffee. I don't know about you, but I need that tiny cup to be filled a couple of times. So there we go. And you just slide them on. Usually I can hold them together. There we go. But you don't want to miss a hole when you string them. And I've already pulled that bottom needle up, so I'm going to pull this needle. See how I'm going to straighten these. Right? The beads are small, but they're not too bad. So see, you just want to make sure that that highway that they're going down isn't twisted. So let me do a few more. Okay, but look at how pretty they look all lined up. So let me isolate one of these needles. I think when you're stringing these, again, if you're using the 0.7 millimeter in the Stretch Magic, you can just use a single strand. You probably would not use a needle, because when it's folded over like that on the needle eye, it'll be too thick to go through this Tila. Gita is asking a really good question. Do I pre-stretch? Okay. And, to be honest, sometimes I do, right? If I'm just doing like a single strand. But with these Tilas, I am stretching kind of so much when I put these on that I really haven't bothered to pre-stretch, though you can. The thing about the stretch is it's like a giant rubber band. And see, that went pretty well. Look at that. When you are stretching, playing with the rubber band, and you stretch it and unstretch it, stretch it and unstretch it, right? And you can stretch the stretch out of it. Does that make sense? It's the same thing with Stretch Magic, right? You can fatigue the stringing material. So if you pre-stretch with a gentle hand. That's what I would advise. But with these Tilas that are on here, it'll be fine. If you just have the 0.7 and that's what you want to use, do it. It'll be fine. You won't double it. I mean, you can try it, but I think it's going to be too tight. And you don't want any unnecessary pressure on this bracelet, right? So now I'm warming up. My fingers are warming up. So here's that half. I'm going to pull it on. Shelly's saying that she's pre-stretched her 7. She's had them on her wrist for many months and they're doing well. That's great. I love how everyone's commenting on my nails. Yeah, I'm trying to be a little less janky nail. And plus, I have not been metalsmithing lately. So I get in this mode where I am in the I'm doing my nails mode. Plus, Drea, man, she sets the bar for nails. So, and she gave us some cuticle oil for the holidays. So, yeah, I'm trying. But also, you can see nails just get in my way. I'm ready to go back to metalsmithing hands, but it's kind of fun to have nails that don't look like the dog's breakfast, as my friend Mary says. All right, pull this through. All right, so let's measure and see how close we are. And again, you don't want any little bubble or anything here, so very carefully just lay it down, slide all that up. If it has a twist, oh, well, shoot. Let me see if I can flip this. I was too busy discussing my nails and not to see. It gets you in trouble. Let's see if I can flip this. Yeah, there we go. Shoo. So you can fix it if it has a twist. Look at how pretty that little line looks, right? So let's measure. Whoops, did you hear that? I just dropped something on the floor. Oops. Beads like to go on the floor, and it was tangled up. So I'm going to go, I don't know, maybe to about 6.5 inches-ish, right? I know, yeah, these nails are, yeah, I don't know. I've been growing them. It's not going to last long. Don't worry. I'll be back to my horrid-looking nails in no time, folks. Don't worry. So let's just string on one more. The thing with Tilas, and with any 2-hold bead, I really like, and you can find how we've used these on the loom. I've loomed with them. I've wrap braceleted with them. I did a really great piece that I haven't really hearkened back to much, and I need to because now we have so many great colors. It's the Bargello wrap. Check it out on the website. I'm sure someone will drop the link. The Bargello wrap I did when we first got the Quarter Tilas in, I think. And the way that I did them, they have a little bit of open space the way I did the project. So it has like some openings in there. Looks a little lacy. I love the way they look, and I don't use these as much as I should. And now that we have all 3 sizes of these suckers, I'm going to use them in some more projects. Especially, I think that these Quarter Tilas, not the halves, but the quarters, mixed with those tiny 15s, I bet something really luscious could be cooked up with those, because the 15s, what I'm finding as I work with the 15s, I can really have some very subtle color change because the bead is so flippin' small, right? They're small and they're harder to string, but you know what, folks? This is a marathon and not a race, Okay, so just enjoy the, just enjoy the journey. We're not going to worry about how long the project takes. If I did, then I'd never knit anything again, right? So let's look at this line here. Let's see what I have. And look at how nicely they line up. They want to warp just a little bit, but I'm going to stretch that out before I close it. So we're there. I'm just going to put a few more on. I'm going to go to 6.5. Okay. Melanie's saying, and I've done this with the Tilas as well. You can do this in a square stitch and just add a clasp. 100%. It does not have to be stretch, right? What I've done is I've also used a double strand of soft flex and just closed it with a little, a couple little seed beads there onto a clasp, and a couple of little seed beads there to taper to go on a clasp. So it does not have to be stretch, but so many of you have talked about stretch and wanted to, delve into the world of the stretch magic or the elastic. So that's why we're discussing it today. Oh, I love it, Sylvia. You bead and quilt and knit. You are my soul sister. That's right. I like to call that omnicrafting. So it's fun. So any craft. Someday, remember, I don't know if you folks remember, you probably do, during the peak pandemic times back in 2020 when we were all trying to figure out what the heck to do. When I did those morning broadcasts, the Kate's Creative Connections, I did a lot of like the Bead Olympics. I did that week of it. I'd like to do something in the Bead Olympics where someone put something in front of me and I have to make something with it. I think that would be fun. That's a true mark of an omnicrafter. All right. So let me slide this on. This should be enough. Let's line it up. It didn't take too long. I know you had to watch me thread all of these, but thanks for sticking with me. Let me put that thread out of the way a little bit. Pick this up. I don't want to miss putting any of these in the little holes, so I'm going to turn it around. Line them all up through my fingers like that. Okay. And then slide that through, making sure I've caught everything. And then let's slide these others through. Making sure I've caught everything. There we go. All right. Let's double check this length one more time and see when you pull it, it gets a little funny. So we're going to work on fixing that. Let me get these out of the way so I don't have those. And see, you can see there's a little piece right there. So I'm going to pull, and I'm going to gently pull the elastic kind of like this to kind of get it set. And that also kind of straightens things out. It also gives it a little bit of stretch there, right? So now it's a lot straighter. Take a look. It does, my mom observed, it looks like that turquoise inlay, right? It really does. These mixes, no wonder people love these bracelets so much, right? I'm going to give it just another little stretch, right? So here's this. Let me zoom out just a hair here so I've got a little more room to work. Okay, so let me measure this. Yeah, this is fine. It's a little bit larger, but that's okay. I'm going to go with the kind of, it's at 6 3/4. When I get the closure on, it's just going to be just shy of 7. So that's fine. I don't want it too tight around my wrist. We've got a bunch of projects with thread on our project pages that show how to put clasps and stuff on. Essentially, you just string one side with thread, the other side with thread, use an end tip to connect it, but there's a ton of projects over there that you can kind of wade through. So I need my closure, what I'm going to do with my closure. And I'm going to, for this one, I'm going to show you the knot second. What I'm going to show you now is what I do with almost all of my elastic. And I know this is a controversial stance with some of you, but it really works for me. So that's what I'm going to show you. If you're more comfortable knotting, we're going to knot next. Okay? I crimp, and I cover the crimp with crimp covers. I know, shocker. But I find that the crimp holds it really well. And it works for me. Some people don't love it, right? But I do. So that's where we are. Let me get in kind of tight so you can see this. And I hope I don't fumble around with this too much, so bear with me here. I'm going to get these little jars out of the way because it's casting some shadow. There we go. That looks better. So it doesn't matter what color crimp you use. I'm going to use the antiqued copper color crimp cover, and I have this shiny crimp. Okay. So let's go ahead on the side that does not have the needle. That's what I put on first. Okay. These are not specific crimps for elastic. They're just crimps like I'd use for soft flex. I'm going to cut this so it's even. I'm going to pick up my crimp, make sure it's a good one. That one isn't great. There we go. I'm going to put my 2 strands through. Okay, this is the 2mm crimp. Thank you, Gita, for pointing that out. And I'm going to put the second crimp. Don't forget to breathe, everybody. Don't hold your breath. It's kind of fussy work, but we got this, okay? Let's get our next crimp. Let's take a look at it. Put it on. Whoops. Put it on. There we go. Okay. Now the reason that I put the crimps on the open side is because I want the needle on the second side when I put the thread through. Okay, so this is really where you don't want to twist what we've got going on. So here's my needle from the top, and I'm coming around. Let me zoom out just a little. I'm a little tight. Okay, like this. And I need to get the right needle. That's the top needle, the corresponding needle. Check it again. Now, send the needle through the crimp, okay? If I had done this side first, I'd be screwing around trying to get that double strand through, okay? So that's why I do the double strand side first, this side, then the needle. And I'm going to do the needle side. Okay? Like that. Okay? So now here and here, I carefully pull in the slack. Now, this is super important. Do not pull any stretch into this bracelet. Does that make sense? So as I'm pulling this tight, I'm not pulling it tight, I'm just snugging it. Okay? So, and if I'm going to put crimp covers on, and this, I don't know, it might look okay without too. You don't have to do it. That closure doesn't bother me too much. I'm just going to pull it kind of tight, and then I'm going to crimp it. Oh, Leslie, you can hear my heater. Let me turn it off. Sorry, I didn't realize it would make that much noise in the background. And now it's warm enough in here. Hang on, let me close it. You can look at that print while I do it. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to use my Xuron crimper right here. Okay. And I'm going to, let me get close because I want you to see this. We need to be careful, but we should be able to do this with no trouble. So here's my crimp. Okay. This is the one that we painted the little dots on. You remember this, right? So in this Xuron crimper, there are 3 holes. The 1 millimeter, the 2, the 3, and then the crimping section. I'm using 2 millimeter, so I'm going to use the hole, the second one that's right here. The pink dot is lined up with it. Okay. So I'll come in, that's the rounder. I'm going to come in and crimp it first, though. So I'm going to do yellow dot first. So I'm going to push this in, and I'm going to close it up around it, just holding it. Okay? Now, what I have to do, because it's a little slidey, I'm going to come in, and I'm going to hold that tight, not stretch, just firm. Okay? And I'm going to crimp. Now see what I've got there? I've got a perfectly fine crimp. Nothing's fine, right? Nothing's wrong. And see how the little crimp, it's hard to see here, but see how the elastic, it's coming out of one channel of the crimp and the other channel of the crimp. So there's no elastic down here in the smush down part, right? And this is nice and smooth. So I do this in sections. So now I'm going to do this second one. Let me get it here. Hold. Get those 2 out of the way. Get my crimping plier. Get in there. Get the crimping portion under, right? So it's there, but now I have to push these tight, pull them tight, snug, but not stretched, and crimp. Okay? So what I have here is step 1 complete. Now, I'm going to come in with my crimping plier, and I'm going to fold the crimp. If I'm out of frame, I'm going to check it in just a second. Let me get it around there so I know what I'm doing. There we are. See how the fold is up towards the tip of the plier? Okay. Now I'm going to hug it closed, take it out, give it one more hug, On the sides, it's folding up like a little taco. Let me do it from the top. Give it one more little hug. There we go. Okay, see, that one's closed. All right. Now I want to get these. These have been bugging me the whole time. So let me get rid of, I'm going to do it under tension, pull and clip, and then I'll do the second one. But I want to get these out of my way. I want to make sure I'm cutting the correct ones. Pull them under tension and clip. Okay, so now let's fold this second one. And you have to keep breathing through this. Everyone take a nice long collective cleansing breath, folks. That's why I like to do my stringing, take a break, and then do my closure. It's just how I do it. But this is demo time, not real jewelry time. So we're doing it all together. Clip under tension. And now can you see I'm pulling that, right? It's not going anywhere. Yeah, and if you screw this up, I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings. If you screw this up, there's no getting the crimp off if the crimp doesn't crimp correctly. Which is why I want you to take your time when you do this. Okay? All right. So see, it's not, see how the elastic, it's hard to see. Let me zoom in so you can see this side view. See how the elastic, it's not super clear, that tight, but the elastic is kind of encased in each of the little segments of the crimp. Okay. Now let's put some crimp covers on. Let's see. I must be crazy for wanting to do this live, but that's the beauty of the live. I get my crimp. Sorry, I'm off the thing here. So see how I get my crimp in that crimp cover. Okay. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to close that crimp cover gently around the crimp. There's one. Let's do the other. And try it out. Try it out on, make a tester and wear it. You know, this isn't something, if you haven't crimped on elastic before, don't let crimping on elastic be the first thing that you do. You know, don't crimp your project closed without practicing a little bit, right? The second one doesn't want to go in, but I'm in charge. So practice, right? Before, you know, try it before you put it on your piece. And Janice is giving some really good wisdom here that I want to show. The crimp cover is going to work if you don't crimp in or through the stretch elastic. You want the stretch magic and crimp to join, not battle each other. You don't, that's exactly right. See how the crimp cover, it's not smashed around. You can't see it, but it's not smashed around the elastic. It's just holding the crimp. So it takes, it just takes a little bit of practice. Okay. So I'm going to come in and here is my closure. Okay. So let's see how that looks on. Terry, you're stealing my thunder. I love it. We're going to show that next, just the knotting. You don't have to use the crimp if you don't want, but then you can put a crimp cover over that knot. Clip away your threads after the glue has a chance to set, and that will work as well. Okay, I'm going to show you that next. So here's this. Now, this is real important. If you sell stretch bracelets or if you give them away, tell your receivers not to pull the bracelet like this, right? Like a rubber band and put it on. You just want to roll it on, slide it on, okay? Like this, right? And there it is. If you stretch and glide it on, put it on, that stretch is on your bracelet's going to give a lot faster. This crimp isn't quite closed. I want to try and crimp it when it's on my wrist, but I can't. Melanie's also saying you can put beads that have a large hole. You certainly can to hide that knot. I want to close this up though. I had to take it off anyway to show you. There it is. There's that little offender. Let me close it. There we are. Perfect. Okay. The crimp covers, they do come in different sizes. We carry them in just the one size. We carry them in the base metal and we carry them in the gold fill and sterling. So you can decide what you want to use. But look at how pretty that closure is with the two little round crimps. I think it's nice. Okay. So here's let me get my thread. I had that other one that I was stringing. I'm not going to string the whole thing. I'm just going to show you what the knots here that I would do. When I come around and I need something that's a little darker, it's hard for you to see. Let me see here. Do I have anything? Yeah, I do. Hang on. Is that easier to see? I think it is. Okay. So I will have strung all my stuff, right? The knot that I want to tie here is, it's like what we call a surgeon's knot, the right over left, left over right, right over left. Okay. So that down and tighten, right? Tighten up next to the beads. I don't have beads on here, but you get it. Then I go the opposite way, right over left. Now, this is what I do here. See, there's my square knot. Can you see it? What I do, this other, I'm going to get rid of this other strand because it's bugging me. I'm just going to do one of these so you can see it. What I do is I get my GS hypo. Now you can't see that at all. And put my glue in the middle. Okay. Then I tighten that square knot over the glue. Obviously my beads are holding all of this in, right? And then I come in and I do my final square. Add a little more glue. The beads keep the knot in place. Without the beads, it's a little bit slidey. But see here, I tighten everything up. Can you see it there? Then I will let this glue do its thing. Let me get a little closer with the zoom. Let me put the lid though on my GS so I don't have a river of glue. Then, again, it doesn't look like much now, but when this tightens and as the glue kind of dries, you want to kind of tighten it up a little bit so that it really is a firm, tight knot, right? Secret to having this stay is let the glue dry completely. Like what I would do is I would glue it and let it sit overnight. I wouldn't, and I also would not cut away the tails yet. I would let the glue set, clip off the ends, and then put my crimp cover over the top. Okay, so same thing as we did with this one here with the crimp cover. Instead of the crimp underneath, we've got the knot. Okay, does that make sense? That's it. So again, you could use a clasp and some, crimps or, the nylon coated beading wire would work nicely. You could also string this like on Ceylon or whatever, have the 2 strands come out and the 2 strands come out, and you can macrame at the end like we do with our Bollywood bracelets, right? I don't have a Bollywood sitting here, but you can go online and take a look at that. That would be a pretty closure for this. My mom is asking about Zap. Really good question, Ma. I would not use Zap. I would use a glue that when you glue the knot, the glue is going to stay where you put it. The Zap will run down the thread, and it's running down the thread here because there weren't beads there to stop it. That Zap, even though it's a gel, it's going to make the knot really brittle, and it may flow down into the thread. So I would stick with GS rather than Zap. Okay. Out of 1 tube of the Tilas, this is a whole tube, Leslie. I think I can probably get at least 3 bracelets because I still have some on here and I have some on another one that I started. So I think depending on the length, you can get about 3. Okay. Pretty easy. Terry, I don't use E6000 for applications like this. You would have to try it out. I think E6000 is a little thick for it. Just my opinion. Try it out. Your results may vary. Okay. But that's it. Look at how pretty this looks on. I'm going to put it on. So see, I'm not overstretching it. Right? Look how nice. The crimps look good. I can stack it up. This is 7 inches. My wrist is 6.5. So there's a little bit of space there, but that's okay. It's a little bangly, but there's not a lot of space in it. So it doesn't strangle my wrist when I'm wearing it. You could use Chinese knotting cord for sure. Just like we do with the Bollywood, we use the Chinese knotting cord there. It would look really nice. You just string it through. I'd use a single strand, maybe the 0.4 or 0.5, bring it around to the back, macrame, and that's it. So there's a request to see the mixes one more time. Let me zoom out. And then we'll call it a day on this broadcast, folks. So let me get like this. This is nice. Let me straighten this out so we're not. These are our new ones. The Island Hopper, the Grecian Waters. This one's the Queen's Court that's coming. Put yourself on the notification list. They'll be in and they'll go out fast, right? The Pebbles, the Mixed Nuts, the Earthy Mix, this one, they're all really nice, right? And Janice is saying all of the mixes should be restocked by today or tomorrow. So keep an eye out for them. Also, don't forget, we have just a ton of the Tilas in the colors. So no harm in making your very own mix, right? Or adding. I am kind of in love with this gold, right? You could add a metallic to any of these if you feel like they don't have enough metallic in them. Look at the gold added to the Island Hopper. Beautiful, right? So as I like to say, folks, you do you. on this, whatever you love. You can see here it is. I'm wearing it and it goes with my opulent dusters very nicely, I think. We ship all over the world. So yes, we do ship to Canada. So we'll get you your beads wherever you want them to be. Oh my gosh, there's so many people. There's almost 250 people watching right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my dear friends, for joining me today. We're not only broadcasting on the Bead Shop social media, but we're also on the Great Bead Extravaganza social media today as well. I want to add that, folks, if you haven't done so, please, please follow us on our social. With the algorithms and everything now, social media, it's really all about your followers and quality followers that engage with your content. So we would love to have you engage with our content on our social media platforms, on Instagram at The Bead Table, our Facebook group, and of course, hit that like, subscribe, and notification button over on YouTube. Our Instagram, if you do make a project with Bead Shop products or projects, do give us a tag at Bead Shop, and we'd love to add you to our Instagram stories. Also, don't forget to jump over to beadshop.com for the information on the project, the Tila Stretch Bracelets from today's broadcast. Sign up for our newsletter for all of the latest from us, because tomorrow you're going to see this graphic right here in your newsletter, and everything about it is going to be explained. Cool tones, warm tones, Tucson, me, a bunch of beads coming to you. It's going to be fun. So thanks again for joining me today for today's show on how to make Tila Stretch Bracelets. You can watch the replay on all of our social. Great way to do it is on YouTube, as well as the project page on beadshop.com. I'll be here next week, next Wednesday, for Bead Shop Live with Emily. We're going to loom, and I cannot wait for you to see her project. It is delicious. It's so beautiful. Next Friday, week from today, Flash Sale Friday on Tribal and Trade Beads, and then it's off to Tucson. Thanks so much, everyone. We so appreciate you and your support of our small business. Have a fantastically creative weekend, and I'll see you next week. Thanks all. Bye-bye.